Hello, everyone. Welcome to English in Advance. I am your host, Jessica, and I am so happy you are joining me today. Whether you are listening on your morning commute while making a cup of coffee or just relaxing at home, I am thrilled to be part of your English learning journey. Today, we are going to do something very special. We are not just going to look at grammar rules or long lists of vocabulary. Instead, we are going to focus on the heart of the language. We are going to talk about how to sound natural, how to flow like a river when you speak, and how to use those special expressions that make you sound less like a textbook and more like a native speaker. This is specifically designed for those of you at the B1 or B2 level who feel stuck. You know the grammar, you know the words, but sometimes you still feel a little robotic. Do not worry, because by the end of this massive session, you are going to have a toolbox full of natural phrases that will boost your confidence immediately. So, if you are ready to take your English to the next level, let's get started. I want you to imagine a scenario. You walk into a room and see a friend you have not seen in a while. In school, we are taught to say, "Hello, how are you?" And the response is almost always, "I am fine, thank you, and you?" While this is correct, it is very formal and honestly, we rarely use it in casual conversations. To sound more fluent, we need to relax our language. A great alternative that you can use every day is, "How is it going?" Listen to the flow of that phrase. How is it going? It connects together. Try saying it with me. How is it going? When someone asks you this, you do not need to give a long report. A simple and natural answer would be, "Pretty good, thanks," or even just, "Not bad, how about you?" Notice how we use pretty good instead of very good. The word pretty here softens the meaning and makes it sound much more casual and authentic. Another fantastic greeting for someone you know well is, "What have you been up to?" This is a beautiful structure because it invites the other person to talk about their recent life, not just this specific moment. It is using the present, perfect, continuous tense. But do not worry about the grammar label. Just focus on the feeling. What have you been up to? It means, what did you do yesterday, last week, or recently? A great answer to this is, "Not much, just working," or perhaps, "I have been keeping busy." I want you to pause for a second and think about your last week. If I asked you right now, "What have you been up to?" how would you answer? Try to answer out loud or in your head using the phrase, "I have been," followed by your activity. Now let us move deeper into a conversation. One of the biggest markers of fluency is how you react to what other people are saying. If you just sit silently while the other person talks, the conversation feels heavy and awkward. We call these active listening skills. When someone tells you something surprising, instead of just saying "really," try using "no way." This is a very common enthusiastic way to show surprise. For example, if your friend says, "I just won a free trip to Paris," you can say, "No way." That is amazing. It shows you are emotionally connected to their story. If the news is unfortunate, such as someone losing their phone or having a bad day, you want to show empathy. A very natural phrase is, "Oh, that is a bummer." The word bummer is informal and it simply means a disappointing situation. It is much more natural than saying that is disappointing. Try saying it. That is a bummer. It makes you sound like a supportive friend. Another phrase for bad news is simply, "I am so sorry to hear that." It is polite, gentle, and works in almost every situation, from a lost job to a minor illness. Let us transition to a slightly more complex topic, which is expressing your opinion. Many learners rely heavily on the phrase I think this is good, or I think we should go. While I think is perfectly fine, repeating it can become boring. To sound more advanced, we can vary our language. If you are fairly sure about something, you can say, if you ask me, this is a confident opener. For instance, if you ask me, this is the best pizza in the city. It sounds personal and authoritative. On the other hand, if you want to be more humble or careful with your opinion, especially in a professional setting, or with people you do not know well, you might say, as far as I am concerned. This implies that this is just your view, and you are open to others. For example, as far as I am concerned, we should finish the project by Friday. It is firm but polite. Now, consider a situation where you are not entirely sure. Maybe you are guessing. Instead of saying, I think maybe, you can use the expression, it seems to me that. This takes the pressure off you. It suggests that based on the evidence you see, this is the conclusion. It seems to me that we are running late. This is a wonderful phrase for B2 learners because it shows you can detach yourself slightly from the statement. Speaking of opinions, we must talk about agreeing and disagreeing. This is where many cultural differences appear. In English-speaking cultures, especially in the UK and US, we often try to be polite even when we disagree. We rarely say, no, you are wrong. That is considered quite rude. Instead, we use what we call softeners. If you disagree with someone, you might start by agreeing with a small part of what they said. You could say, I see your point, but I view it differently. Look at that structure. I see your point. It validates the other person. It makes them feel heard. Then you use the word but to introduce your disagreement. Another excellent phrase is, I am not so sure about that. It is a gentle way of saying no. Imagine your colleague says, we should change the meeting time to 6 a.m. Instead of saying, that is a bad idea, you say, I am not so sure about that. It might be too early for everyone. This is the key to fluent professional conversation. It preserves the relationship while still stating your position. On the flip side, if you completely agree with someone, do not just say yes. Use energy. You can say, I could not agree more. This means your agreement is at 100%. Or you can simply say, absolutely, or spot on. Spot on is a great British English phrase that has become popular everywhere. It means exactly right. If someone guesses the answer to a riddle, you say, that is spot on. Let us take a moment to talk about filler words. When you are learning English, you might be afraid of pausing. You might say, or a lot. Native speakers do this too, but they also use specific words to fill the silence while they are thinking. These are called discourse markers. A very common one is we use to correct a misconception or to add surprising information. For example, someone asks, is it raining? And you look outside and see the sun. You can say, actually, it is sunny now. It signals a change in expectation. Another great connector is basically. We use this when we want to summarize a complex story into a simple version. Imagine you had a long, complicated day at work involving meetings, lost files, and coffee spills. When your partner asks how your day was, you might say, basically, it was a disaster. It tells the listener, I am giving you the short version. Using these words helps you buy time to think without breaking the flow of the conversation. Just be careful not to overuse them, but having them in your vocabulary makes you sound much more fluent than just using silence. Now I want to share a very special technique for sounding more descriptive. It involves using idioms related to time and effort. We use these constantly in real life. Have you ever been working on a task that was just taking too long and you were exhausted? Maybe it is late at night and you are studying. A native speaker would say, "Let's call it a day." This means let us stop working for now and finish later. It is perfect for the workplace or study groups. Hey everyone, we've done enough. Let's call it a day. Another common one is when you are trying to do something that is impossible or a waste of time. We say, "You are barking up the wrong tree." Imagine a dog barking at a tree where it thinks a cat is hiding, but the cat is actually in a different tree. If you accuse the wrong person of making a mistake, they might tell you, "Look, I didn't do it, you are barking up the wrong tree." These visual idioms add color to your speech. They show that you understand the culture, not just the grammar. I want you to try and visualize these idioms. Close your eyes for a second. See the dog at the tree. See the person packing up their bag to go home. Connecting the image to the phrase will help you remember it forever. Let us discuss how to clarify things. Sometimes even native speakers do not understand each other. It is perfectly okay to ask for clarification. In fact, it is better to ask than to pretend you understand. If you missed what someone said, avoid simply saying, "What?" That can sound aggressive. Instead, try, "Sorry, I didn't catch that." It implies that the speaker sent the information like a ball and you just failed to catch it. It is not their fault and it is not really your fault, it just happened. Another polite way to ask is, "Could you run that by me again?" To run something by someone means to explain it or tell it to them. So "Could you run that by me again?" is a friendly, informal way to ask for repetition. If you understand the words but not the meaning, you can check your understanding by saying, "So what you are saying is," and then you rephrase their point. For example, "So what you are saying is, we need to buy the tickets in advance." This is a power move in conversation. It proves you are listening and it ensures there is no miscommunication. We are moving through so much great material today. I want to touch on a topic that makes many learners nervous, which is talking about the future and making plans. We often learn to use will for the future. I will go to the store. But in reality, when we talk about plans we have already made, we almost always use the present continuous or going to. If you tell a friend, "I will have dinner with Sarah tonight," it sounds like you just decided right now. But if you say, "I am having dinner with Sarah tonight," it sounds like a solid plan. It sounds natural. It implies the arrangement is already made. Or, "I am going to see a movie this weekend." This subtle shift from will to going to, or the present continuous, is a huge step up in sounding like a B2 or C1 speaker. It is all about the nuance of certainty. So think about your plans for tomorrow. Do not say, "I will work." Say, "I am working tomorrow," or "I am meeting my friend at noon." Say it out loud right now. What are you doing tomorrow? Consistency is the secret sauce of language learning. So let us continue to move deeper into the language. We are going to explore how to be polite without being stiff, how to handle problems in conversations, and the specific vocabulary you need for telling stories and describing your experiences. We want to move you from simply communicating information to actually connecting with people on an emotional level. So take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let us jump back into the world of fluent English. I want to start this next section by talking about softness. In many cultures, directness is valued. You might say, "Give me the salt or open the window." Grammatically, these are correct imperative sentences. However, in English, especially in the UK, USA, Canada, and Australia, being too direct can sometimes sound aggressive or rude, even if you do not mean to be. We use what we call softeners to make our requests sound gentle and polite. Imagine you are in a cold room and you want someone to close the window. Instead of saying, "Close the window," try using the phrase, "Do you mind closing the window?" Or even more polite, "Would you mind closing the window?" Notice the grammar change here. After "do you mind" or "would you mind," we use the verb with ing. Would you mind closing? This structure is magic. It shows respect. It gives the other person a choice even though we know they will probably say yes. If someone asks you this, the answer is a bit tricky. If you are happy to close the window, you actually say no. You say, "No, I don't mind at all." If you say yes, it means, "Yes, I mind," which means I am annoyed by your request. So remember, "Would you mind?" is answered with, "No, go ahead." Another beautiful phrase for making requests, especially in a professional setting or with strangers, is "I was wondering if." This puts the request in the past continuous tense, which makes it feel less immediate and demanding. For example, if you need to ask your boss for a day off, do not just walk in and say, "I want a day off next Friday." Instead, try saying, "I was wondering if I could take next Friday off." It sounds thoughtful. It sounds like you've been considering it and you are respectfully asking for permission. You can also use this for invitations. "I was wondering if you would like to grab dinner sometime." It takes the pressure off the other person. If they say no, it is less embarrassing for everyone. Try saying it to yourself now to get the rhythm right. "I was wondering if..." Notice how the stress falls gently on the words. It is a very musical phrase. Let us shift gears and talk about something we all do every day, which is dealing with problems and misunderstandings. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, things go wrong. Maybe you are late. Maybe you forgot something. Or maybe you made a mistake at work. The way you handle the mistake says a lot about your fluency. If you make a small error like bumping into someone or dropping a pen, a simple "sorry" or "my bad" is perfect. "My bad" is very American and very casual. You would use it with friends. "Oops, I forgot the tickets. My bad." But for more serious situations, we need stronger language. If you are late for a meeting, do not just say sorry. Say, "Please accept my apologies for the delay." This is formal and shows you take the situation seriously. If you want to explain why without making it sound like a darker excuse, you can use the phrase, "I got held up." This is a fantastic phrasal verb. To get held up means something outside of your control stopped you. I got held up in traffic, or I got held up at work. It shifts the blame slightly to the situation rather than your poor time management. Now consider a scenario where you are on a phone call or a video call. This is a huge part of modern life. The audio cuts out, the screen freezes, and it can be stressful. We have specific vocabulary for this. If the sound is going on and off, we say, "You are breaking up." It means the connection is breaking into pieces. "I can't hear you clearly. You are breaking up." If the call suddenly ends, we say, "We got cut off." And if you need someone to wait for a moment, instead of saying, "Wait," which is a command, say, "Could you hold on a second?" Or "Bear with me for a moment." "Bear with me" is a lovely expression. It means please be patient with me while I fix this issue. Imagine you are looking for a file on your computer while someone is watching. You say, I am just trying to find the document, bear with me. It fills the awkward silence with politeness. Moving on, let us talk about storytelling. When we speak with friends, we are usually telling stories. We talk about our weekend, a funny thing that happened at the store, or a memory from childhood. To be a good storyteller in English, you need linking words that guide the listener through time. If you just say, I went to the store, I bought milk, I went home, it sounds like a robot. We want flow. We use words like suddenly, meanwhile, and eventually. Let's look at eventually. This is often a false friend for speakers of Latin languages. Eventually does not mean possibly. It means in the end after a long time. So you could say, the bus was late, it started raining, and I forgot my umbrella, but eventually I got home. It signals the end of a difficult journey. Another great storytelling phrase is to make a long story short. You use this when you realize you have been talking for too long and you want to skip to the conclusion. I lost my keys, retraced my steps, called the police. But to make a long story short, they were in my pocket the whole time. It signals to the listener that the punchline or the main point is coming right now. Let us add some color to how we describe our feelings. As B1 and B2 learners, you know words like happy, sad, and angry. These are great, but they are basic. To sound more fluent, we want to use more specific adjectives or idioms. Instead of saying, I am very happy, try, I am over the moon. Imagine jumping over the moon because you are so full of joy. I got the job, and I am over the moon. Or, if you are very excited, you can say, I am pumped. This is informal and high energy. I am pumped for the concert tonight. On the negative side, if you are feeling tired and maybe a little sick, not terrible, but just not 100%, you can say, I am feeling a bit under the weather. It is a gentle way to tell people you need some space or rest. Sorry, I can't come out tonight. I am feeling a bit under the weather. It creates a clear image without being too dramatic. What about when you are nervous? Maybe before a test or a presentation. You can say, I have butterflies in my stomach. It describes that fluttery feeling perfectly. Even native speakers use this all the time. I have a big date tonight and I have butterflies. Now let us talk about a very important aspect of conversation, which is showing interest in what others are doing. We call this follow-up questioning. If someone says, I went to the cinema yesterday, and you say, niece, the conversation dies. To keep it alive, you need to ask a relevant question. A great general question is, what was it like? You can use this for anything. Films, food, holidays, new jobs. I started my new job yesterday. Oh, really? What was it like? It invites a description. If someone tells you they are going on a trip, you can ask, how long are you going for? Or who are you going with? These questions show you are listening. Another great phrase to keep a conversation going is, tell me more about that. It is an open invitation. If your friend mentions they are learning to paint, say, that sounds fascinating. Tell me more about that. It makes the other person feel interesting and valued, which is the key to being a good conversationalist. We also need to cover the topic of money and paying for things, because this happens often in social situations. If you go out to lunch with a friend, the moment the bill arrives can be awkward if you do not have the right words. If you want to pay for everything, you can say, it is on me. This is a generous and confident phrase. Put your wallet away. Lunch is on me. If you want to pay only for what you ate and you want the other person to pay for what they ate, we call this splitting the bill. You can ask the waiter, can we split the bill, please? Sometimes you might want to share the cost equally, 50-50. You can say, let's go halves. This is very common in dating or casual dining. And if something is very expensive, we have a funny idiom for that. We say, it costs an arm and a leg. I really want that car, but it costs an arm and a leg. It implies a high sacrifice. Conversely, if something is very cheap, you can say, it was a steal, meaning the price was so low it feels like I stole it. I got these shoes on sale, they were a steal. Let us touch on the concept of agreeing to plans when you are flexible. Your friend asks, do you want Italian or Mexican food? If you truly do not have a preference, do not just say, I don't care. That can sound indifferent or bored. A better, more positive phrase is, I am easy. It means I am easygoing. I am flexible. I am happy with either choice. Do you want to meet at 5 or 6? I'm easy, whatever works for you. Another phrase is, it is up to you. This gives the power of decision to the other person politely. If you want to show enthusiasm for a suggestion, you can say, I am down for that. Hey, let's go to the beach. I am down for that. It is slang, but it is very common in spoken English to mean I am willing and interested. I want to address a grammar point that often trips up intermediate learners, and that is the difference between used to and am used to. This is crucial for sounding natural. We use used to plus a verb to talk about past habits that are finished. I used to smoke, but I stopped. I used to live in London. It is done. But if you want to talk about something that feels normal to you now, something you are accustomed to, you say I am used to plus a noun or an ing verb. For example, I am used to the rain. This means the rain does not bother me anymore because I've experienced it a lot. Or, I am used to waking up early. Many learners mix these up. They say, I am used to wake up, which is incorrect. Remember, if the am is there, you need the ing. Think about something difficult in your life that has become easy. Maybe driving on the right side of the road. You can say, at first it was scary, but now I am used to it. Let's go back to the workplace for a moment. We often need to give updates on our progress. If things are going well and according to plan, you can use the idiom, we are on track. It comes from trains being on the correct track. The project is on track to finish by Monday. If you are working very hard and making a lot of effort, you can say, I have been working flat out. This means working at maximum capacity. I am tired because I have been working flat out all week. If you have a lot of work to do, more than you can handle, you can say, I am snowed under. Imagine you are buried under snow, but the snow is paperwork. I can't come to lunch, I am completely snowed under today. These visual metaphors help your colleagues understand your situation instantly. Speaking of understanding, have you ever been in a conversation where you completely forgot what you were going to say? It happens to the best of us. The phrase for this is, I lost my train of thought. It is another train metaphor. You were going somewhere with your sentence, and the train derailed. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? This is a very human moment. It relaxes the conversation. You do not need to panic. Just admit it, laugh it off, and usually the other person will remind you. Another useful phrase for the mind is, it is on the tip of my tongue. You use this when you know a word or a name. You can almost feel it, but you cannot say it. What is that actor's name? It is on the tip of my tongue. This signals to the listener that you know the answer. You just need a second to retrieve it. Let us talk about encouraging others. Sometimes your friends or colleagues feel discouraged. You want to be the person who lifts them up. A classic phrase is, hang in there. This means do not give up. Keep enduring the difficult situation. If your friend hates their job, you say, hang in there, something better will come along. If someone is trying to do something difficult, like fix a car or solve a math problem, you can say, you have got this. It is a short, powerful burst of confidence. You are nervous about your speech? Don't worry, you have got this. It affirms their ability. And if someone tries and fails, you can say, good effort or nice try. It validates their attempt so they do not feel foolish. As we continue to build your vocabulary, I want to focus on the word get. Get is one of the most versatile words in the English language. In formal English, we have specific verbs like arrive, receive, become, and understand. But in natural, spoken English, we replace almost all of them with get. Instead of asking, when will you arrive, we say, when will you get there? Instead of, did you receive my email? We say, did you get my email? Instead of, it is becoming dark, we say, it is getting dark. And most importantly, instead of, do you understand, we say, do you get it? Mastering get is a shortcut to sounding like a native speaker. Try to notice how often you use the more formal verbs. Next time, try to swap them for get. I got a present, I got tired, I got home late. It speeds up your speech and makes it flow better. We are covering a lot of ground and you are doing wonderfully. I want to take a brief moment to talk about silence. In some cultures, silence in a conversation is normal. In English-speaking cultures, it can feel awkward. We often use what we call small talk to fill these gaps. Small talk is light conversation about unimportant topics. The weather is the king of small talk. It sounds cliché, but saying, lovely day, isn't it? Or it looks like rain is a social glue. It is not really about the weather, it is about checking in and being friendly. Another safe topic is the immediate environment. If you are waiting for a bus, you can say, the bus is taking a while today. It establishes a shared experience. Small talk is the bridge to big talk. You rarely start a deep conversation without a little bit of small talk first. So do not despise it. Embrace it as a necessary social tool. Let us look at some expressions for making decisions. Sometimes you are torn between two choices. You can say, I am on the fence. Imagine sitting on a fence between two fields. You have not jumped to the left or the right yet. I am on the fence about buying a new computer. I am not sure if I need it. When you finally make a decision, especially a risky one, you might say, I am going to take the plunge. This implies diving into deep water. I decided to take the plunge and quit my job to start a bakery. It adds drama and excitement to your decision. And if you have to start all over again because a plan failed, we say back to the square one. We tried to fix the engine, but it didn't work, so it is back to square one. I want to end this section by focusing on the concept of gratitude. We all say thank you, but there are many ways to say it depending on the level of gratitude. If someone does a small favor, like passing the salt, distinct thanks or cheers is enough. Cheers is very British and Australian, but understood everywhere. If someone does something bigger, like helping you move house, you need more weight. You can say, I really appreciate it. This phrase is gold. It shows you value their effort. Or, I can't thank you enough. This is for major favors. And if you want to sound very casual and warm, you can say, you are a lifesaver. You use this when someone solves a problem for you. You brought me coffee. You are a lifesaver. It is hyperbolic, meaning it is an exaggeration, but it makes people feel great. We've added so many tools to your toolbox in this session. We have talked about softening your requests with "would you mind?", handling phone problems with "breaking up", telling stories with "eventually", and describing emotions with "over the moon". We discussed workplace idioms like "snowed under" and decision-making with "on the fence". My challenge for you after this session is to focus on the softeners. For the next few days, try to avoid direct commands. Don't say, "give me that". Try, "could you pass me that?" Or, "I was wondering if I could have that". Watch how people react to you. You will likely find that people are more helpful and friendlier when you use these softer, more musical phrases. You are making incredible progress. Listening to English at this length is a workout for your brain, and you should be proud of yourself for staying focused. We are building a foundation that will support you in any conversation, anywhere in the world. I want to start by talking about imagination. As human beings, we love to ask, "what if?" In English grammar, we call these conditionals, but let us just call them dreaming phrases. Imagine you are dreaming about a different life. You might say, "If I had $1 million, I would travel the world." Notice the structure. We use the past tense "had not" because it is in the past, but to show it is distant from reality. And then we use "would". To sound like a native speaker, you need to contract that "would". Instead of saying "I would", say "I'd". If I had time, I'd help you. If I were you, I'd take the job. Try that sound. I'd. It is short and sharp. This structure is perfect for hypothetical conversations. A great conversation starter is to ask your friends, "if you could have any superpower, what would it be?" It is a fun, lighthearted way to practice this structure. Now, let us look at the past. Sometimes we have regrets. We wish we had done things differently. This is where we use the phrase "should have". Grammatically, it is a modal verb plus the perfect tense, but in spoken English, it sounds like one word, shoulda. "I should have called you" becomes "I shoulda called you". "I should have studied harder" becomes "I should have studied harder". This is extremely common in natural speech. Using should have allows you to express regret without being too heavy. "Oh, I should have brought my coat. It is freezing." It implies you made a mistake, but you are owning it. Similarly, we use could have to talk about lost possibilities. "I could have been a doctor, but I chose to be an artist." Listen to the sound again. Coulda practice these reductions. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. They are the rhythm of regret in English. Changing the subject to something more positive, let us talk about giving advice. When a friend comes to you with a problem, saying "you must do this" can sound bossy and controlling. We want to be supportive. A classic, gentle way to give advice is the phrase, "have you thought about?" This is soft. It is a suggestion, not a command. Have you thought about asking for a raise? Have you thought about taking a break? Another excellent phrase is, "you might want to." For example, you might want to check the weather before you go. It is a polite warning. And if you want to put yourself in their shoes, use the phrase we just practiced. If I were you, I would apologize." This is the gold standard of advice giving. It shows empathy. It says, "I am imagining being you, and this is my best guess." Now let us talk about people. As you meet new English speakers, you will want to describe their personalities. Basic words like nice, kind, and funny are okay, but they are a bit flat. Let us add some 3D color. If someone is very practical, humble, and easy to talk to, we say they are down to earth. I love Jessica. She is so down to earth. It means she doesn't have a big ego. If someone is very energetic and loves social situations, we call them the life of the party. Every time John arrives, he is the life of the party. On the other hand, if someone is a bit quiet or shy, but they have a lot of interesting thoughts, inside, you might say, they are reserved. It is a respectful way to say shy. And what about you? Are you a morning person or a night owl? A morning person loves waking up early. A night owl loves staying up late. Using these idioms helps you bond with people. Oh, you are a night owl? Me too. I hate mornings. Instant connection. Speaking of time, we have some great phrasal verbs for daily routines that you should know. When you wake up late on purpose because it is the weekend, we call that sleeping in. I love Sundays because I can sleep in. Do not confuse this with oversleeping, which means you woke up late by mistake and missed your bus. Sleeping in is a luxury. Oversleeping is a mistake. When you leave your house to go somewhere, we often use the phrasal verb head out. It sounds much more natural than depart. I am going to head out now, or simply, I am heading out. And when you finally return home and relax, maybe watch some TV, we call that winding down. It is like a clock that was wound up tight, and now it is slowly unwinding. I like to wind down with a good book before bed. Try to narrate your day with these words. Tomorrow I will sleep in, then I will head out for lunch, and finally I will wind down with a movie. Let us discuss how to compare things. Sometimes you need to explain the difference between two ideas or options. If two things are completely different, you can say, it is like comparing apples and oranges. You cannot compare them because they are too distinct. If two things are extremely different, you can say they are worlds apart. My brother and I are worlds apart in our political views. However, if you want to balance two sides of an argument, we use the structure on the one hand and on the other hand. This is crucial for B2 and C1 essays and advanced conversation. On the one hand, the city is exciting. On the other hand, it is very expensive. It shows you have a balanced, nuanced mind. You can also use the word unlike to show contrast. Unlike my sister, who loves sports, I prefer reading. This is a compact way to show difference without using a long sentence. Now, I want to teach you about vague language. This might sound strange. Why would you want to be vague? Well, in English, being too precise can sometimes sound robotic or obsessive. If someone asks, "What time will you be there?" and you say, "At 7:32, it sounds odd. It is more natural to say 7-ish. Adding ish to a time or a number makes it approximate. I'll be there at 7-ish. It means around 7. You can use it with ages too. He is 40-ish. You can even use it with colors. It is greenish blue. This little suffix ish is a secret weapon for sounding casual. Another vague phrase is or so. I will stay for a week or so. It means maybe 6 days, maybe 8 days. It signals flexibility. And of course, the classic stuff like that. We use this when you list things and do not want to finish the list. We bought apples, bananas, stuff like that. It saves you from having to list every single fruit in the grocery store. Let us move on to the topic of speculation. This means guessing. You see something and you make a guess about what it is. We use our senses for this. If you see a long line outside a restaurant, you can say, "It looks popular." If you hear loud music coming from a house, you say, "It sounds like they are having a party." Notice we use looks like and sounds like followed by a noun or a sentence. If you are fairly sure about your guess, you can use the phrase, "I bet." I bet they are serving free food. I bet he is late again. It doesn't mean you are actually gambling money. It just means you are confident in your guess. If you are unsure, you might say, "It could be. Is that a dog or a wolf? It could be a wolf." It shows possibility. Using these phrases makes you an active observer of the world around you. We also need to talk about how to express emphasis. Sometimes you really want to make a point. You want to show that something is extreme. The word literally is used very often by native speakers for emphasis, sometimes even when it is not metaphorically true. I was literally starving. You were not actually dying of hunger, but you use literally to show that you were very, very hungry. Use this carefully, but know that it is very common. Another great word is absolutely. Was the movie good? It was absolutely fantastic. Using absolutely before a strong adjective amplifies your opinion. You can also use totally to agree with someone. I totally agree. It sounds young and fresh. If you want to emphasize a negative, you can use whatsoever. I have no money whatsoever. It is much stronger than just saying, I have no money. It means zero, nothing, nil. Let us shift to a slightly deeper topic. Relationships. Not just romantic ones, but friendships and colleagues too. When you meet someone and you immediately like them, we say we hit it off. It is a great idiom. I met Sarah yesterday and we really hit it off. It means the chemistry was good. On the sadder side, if you lose touch with a friend over the years, not because of a fight, but just because life happened, we say, we drifted apart. It is like two boats floating away from each other on the ocean. We used to be close, but we drifted apart. If you have a friend who supports you no matter what, you can say, they have my back. I know John has my back. It means he is there to protect and support me. And if you want to check on a friend you haven't seen in a while, you say you are going to reach out. I am going to reach out to Tom and see how he is doing. It sounds active and caring. I want to touch on the concept of luck and coincidence. Life is full of surprises. If you meet a friend in a random place, like seeing your neighbor in a foreign country, you say, "What a small world." This is the standard reaction to a coincidence. What a small world. If something good happens to you by chance, you can say, I got lucky. I didn't study for the test, but I got lucky and passed. If you want to wish someone luck beyond just saying, good luck, you can say, fingers crossed. You can even cross your physical fingers when you say it. I have my job interview tomorrow, fingers crossed. It is a charming visual way to show hope. And if something bad almost happened but didn't, like you almost dropped your phone but caught it, you say, that was a close call. It means disaster was near, but you escaped it. Phew, that was a close call. Let us talk about clarity and understanding in a conversation. Sometimes you are explaining something complex and you want to make sure the other person is following you. You can pause and ask, does that make sense? This is a very common check-in phrase. I want us to meet at the station, not the airport. Does that make sense? It gives the other person a chance to say yes or ask a question. If you are the listener and you want to show you understand, you can say, I get the picture. This means you can visualize the situation. You do not need more details. Okay, stop explaining. I get the picture. Or if you have a sudden realization, like a light bulb turning on, you say, it dawned on me. It dawned on me that I had left the oven on. It means the realization rose like the sun. I want to give you some vocabulary for describing busyness and stress, because unfortunately, that is a part of modern life. If you have too many things to do, you can say, I have a lot on my plate. Imagine a dinner plate overflowing with food. I can't help you right now. I have a lot on my plate. If you are running around trying to do everything at once, you might say you are running around like a headless chicken. It is a funny, slightly dark image, but it perfectly describes chaotic busyness. I've been running around like a headless chicken all morning, and when you finally need to stop and relax, you can say, I need to recharge my batteries. We are like machines. We need energy. I am going to the beach this weekend to recharge my batteries. Let us briefly discuss how to invite people to things. We learned, would you like to, which is polite, but with friends, we are more casual. We often use the phrase, Are you up for a movie tonight? It means, are you in the mood for it? Do you have the energy for it? Are you up for a hike? If you want to join an activity that others are doing, you can ask, do you mind if I tag along? To tag along means to follow or join a group. You are going to the mall? Do you mind if I tag along? It is a low-pressure way to invite yourself. And if you want to organize a time, you can ask, what time suits you? It means what time is convenient for you. It is more polite than telling them a time. As we move deeper into our learning, I want to talk about encouragement again. Learning English is a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes you will feel like you are not making progress. That is what we call hitting a plateau. A plateau is a flat area of land. In learning, it means you are working hard but staying at the same level. If you feel like you have hit a plateau, do not worry. It is normal. The phrase to remember here is stick with it. It means do not quit. Stick with it and you will see results. Another great phrase is you are on the right track. It means you are going in the correct direction. Even if you are slow, you are on the right track. Let us practice a little exercise. I want you to think about a decision you are trying to make. Maybe it is buying a new phone, changing jobs, or choosing what to eat for dinner. Use the phrase we learned, I am on the fence. Say it out loud. I am on the fence about, and fill in the blank. Now imagine you decide to do it. Say, I am going to take the plunge. And finally, imagine it goes wrong. Say, it is back to square one. Connecting these phrases to your real life makes them stick in your brain. We are now moving into the fourth section of our journey, and today we are going to explore the language of health, travel, and navigating difficult discussions. These are essential topics because they touch on our physical well-being and our movement through the world. We will also look at how to express mixed feelings, which is a hallmark of advanced fluency. So let us get comfortable and dive right back in. I want to start with a topic that affects us all, which is our health. When you are learning English, you often learn basic phrases like, I am sick or I have a headache. But native speakers use much more descriptive language to talk about how they feel. Imagine you are starting to feel just a little bit unwell. You are not terrible, but you know a cold is coming. We use the phrasal verb come down with. You might say to a colleague, I think I am coming down with something. It is a vague but effective way to warn people that you might be sick soon. If you do get sick and then you recover, we say you are back on your feet. It paints a picture of you standing up strong after being in bed. Oh, I had the flu last week, but I am back on my feet now. This implies you are ready to work and be active again. Sometimes we are not sick, but we are just exhausted from life. We used the phrase burned out earlier, but another great one is run down. This describes a state of physical tiredness caused by overwork. You look a bit run down, you should take a holiday. It is a caring observation. And if you decide to improve your health, perhaps by going to the gym or eating better, we say you are trying to get in shape. Getting in shape is the general term for improving physical fitness. A friend might ask, "Why are you eating that salad?" And you can reply, "I am trying to get in shape for summer." Conversely, if you have stopped exercising, we say you are out of shape. It is a gentle way to admit you are not at your peak fitness. Let us transition from the body to the world of travel. Traveling is one of the best ways to practice English, but it comes with its own set of vocabulary. When you visit a new city, you often want to avoid the crowded places where all the tourists go. We call these places tourist traps. A tourist trap is expensive, crowded, and not very authentic. You might tell a friend, "Don't go to that restaurant. It is a total tourist trap." Instead, you want to go where the locals go. We call this going off the beaten path. Imagine a path in a forest that everyone walks on. It is beaten down and flat. You want to go off that path. I love traveling in Asia because I like to go off the beaten path and find hidden villages. It sounds adventurous and sophisticated. When you are planning your trip, you create a list of places to see and things to do. We call this an itinerary. It is a slightly formal word but very common in travel contexts. "We have a packed itinerary today" implies you are very busy. However, sometimes you do not want a plan. You want to be spontaneous. We have a lovely phrase for this: play it by ear. This means to decide things as you go, without a fixed plan. Are we booking a hotel for tomorrow? No, let's just play it by ear. It gives you a sense of freedom. Try saying it. Play it by ear. It connects smoothly. Of course, travel is not always easy. Sometimes you have a terrible journey. We often call a difficult journey a nightmare. My flight was delayed. I lost my luggage. The whole trip was a nightmare. And if you are traveling across many time zones, you will suffer from jet lag. Jet lag is that confusing tiredness you feel when your body thinks it is night, but the sun is shining. I just flew in from New York, so I am suffering from terrible jet lag. The cure for this usually is to crash. To crash means to go to sleep very quickly because you are exhausted. I am going to go to the hotel and crash. Now let us talk about a very advanced communication skill: playing devil's advocate. This is when you argue for the opposite side, not because you believe it, but because you want to test the argument or explore all possibilities. In a meeting, if everyone agrees that Plan A is perfect, you might say, "I am going to play devil's advocate here." But what if Plan A fails? It is a useful tool for critical thinking. It signals to everyone that you are not being difficult on purpose. You are just trying to be thorough. Another way to introduce a counterpoint is to say, "That is a valid point. However." This validates the other person before you disagree. It keeps the atmosphere professional and respectful. We also need to discuss how to talk about speed and time passing. Sometimes time feels like it is moving incredibly fast. We say, "Time flies." It is a classic idiom. "I can't believe it is already December, time flies." Or, for something that happened very quickly, we say, "In the blink of an eye." My children grew up in the blink of an eye. On the other hand, if something is boring and slow, we say it drags on. The meeting dragged on for 3 hours. You can feel the heaviness in that phrase. Drags on. If you are waiting for something exciting, like a holiday, you can say, "I am counting down the days." It shows high anticipation. "I am counting down the days until my vacation." let us touch on the concept of memory. As we get older, we often look back at the past. If you have a memory that is not very clear, we call it a fuzzy memory. I have a fuzzy memory of that house. If the memory is extremely clear, we say it is vivid. I have a vivid memory of my first day at school. Sometimes something happens that makes you remember something suddenly. We say it jogs my memory. That song really jogs my memory. And if a name sounds familiar but you cannot quite place it, you say, that name rings a bell. Do you know John Smith? The name rings a bell, but I can't remember his face. Now, I want to talk about emotions that are not just happy or sad, but mixed. Life is complex. Sometimes you feel happy and sad at the same time. We call this feeling bittersweet. Graduation is a bittersweet moment. You are happy to finish, but sad to leave your friends. It was a bittersweet goodbye. Another complex state is when you are undecided and feel pulled in two directions. We discussed being on the fence earlier, but you can also say you are torn. I am torn between buying the car or saving the money. It expresses an emotional struggle. If you are very surprised by something, so surprised that you cannot speak, we say you are speechless. When he gave me the gift, I was completely speechless. Let us look at some social idioms that will make you sound very natural. If you want to keep a secret, you can tell someone, keep it under your hat. It is a fun, old-fashioned way to say, don't tell anyone. Or, mum's the word. This also means silence. If you accidentally reveal a secret, we say you let the cat out of the bag. I was trying to plan a surprise party, but Dave let the cat out of the bag. And if you hear a rumor, but you want to say that it might not be true, you can say, take it with a grain of salt. I heard he is quitting, but take it with a grain of salt. It means be skeptical. Do not believe it 100%. We often need to talk about effort and success. If you are trying to do something that is too difficult for you, we say you have bitten off more than you can chew. It is a food metaphor. You took a bite that was too big. I agreed to write 3 reports by tomorrow, and I think I bit off more than I can chew. If you are doing something perfectly, we say you are on the ball. You are sharp, alert, and efficient. Sarah is really on the ball today. And if you are improvising and doing a great job despite problems, we say you are winging it. I didn't study for the presentation, so I just had to wing it. Let us move to the topic of comparisons again, but with a focus on similarity. If two people are very similar in character, usually a parent and a child, we say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He is stubborn, just like his father. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If two people are exactly alike, usually friends or siblings, we can call them two peas in a pod. They are always together and think the same way. They're like two peas in a pod. This is very cute and affectionate. I want to address the concept of understanding and knowledge. If you are completely confused, you can say, I am lost. I am totally lost. If you want to say that something is beyond your understanding, usually because it is technical or complicated, you can say, it is all Greek to me. I tried to read the manual, but it was all Greek to me. It means it looked like a foreign language. On the positive side, if you understand how something works very well, you can say you know the ins and outs. I have worked here for 10 years, so I know the ins and outs of the system. This shows expertise. Let us talk about resilience. Life knocks us down, but we get back up. If you are in a difficult situation but you are surviving, you can say, I am keeping my head above water. It is a powerful image of almost drowning but staying alive. Business has been slow, but we are keeping our heads above water. If you have to deal with a difficult situation and accept it, we say you have to bite the bullet. It comes from old war stories where soldiers had to bite a bullet during surgery. I didn't want to call my ex-boss, but I had to bite the bullet and do it. It implies doing something unpleasant because it is necessary. We are covering so many interesting expressions. I hope you are pausing the audio occasionally to repeat them. Let us talk about honesty. If you want to speak frankly, you can say, "To be honest with you." This is a very common filler phrase. To be honest with you, I didn't like the food. If you want to be even more direct, you can say, "Let's call a spade a spade." This means let us describe things exactly as they are, even if it is rude or unpleasant. Let's call a spade a spade. That meeting was a waste of time. And if someone is being deceptive or avoiding the main point, we say they are beating around the bush. Stop beating around the bush and just tell me what you want. It is a demand for clarity. Let us explore the language of trends and popularity. If something is very popular right now, we say it is all the rage. Those new sneakers are all the rage this year. If something is becoming popular very quickly, we say it is catching on. Electric cars are really catching on. Conversely, if something is old-fashioned or no longer useful, we say it is obsolete or out of date. My old phone is practically obsolete. If you are a person who likes to follow trends, you might be called a trendsetter. But if you just follow the crowd, someone might say you are jumping on the bandwagon. Everyone is buying crypto now, so he decided to jump on the bandwagon. It implies following the crowd without thinking. I want to give you some phrases for ending a conversation or a meeting. We learned call it a day earlier. Another great one is, let's wrap things up. To wrap up means to finish and summarize. Okay, everyone, let's wrap things up for today. If you want to leave a social gathering, you can say, I better get going. It is polite and signals intention. I better get going. I have an early start tomorrow. An early start simply means you have to wake up early. Let us spend a moment on the concept of luck again, but in a negative way. If something bad happens and it is just bad luck, we say, just my luck. It is usually sarcastic. It started raining the moment I stepped outside. Just my luck. If you are in a risky situation, we say you are skating on thin ice. You were late 3 times this week. You are skating on thin ice with the boss. It warns of danger. And if you narrowly avoid a disaster, we say you dodged a bullet. I almost dated that guy, but I found out he is crazy. I really dodged a bullet. We are moving through these topics fluently now. I want to talk about how we describe intelligence and thinking. If someone is very smart, we can say they are sharp or bright. She is a bright student. If someone is a bit slow to understand, we might politely say, he is a little slow on the uptake. It is better than saying stupid. If someone has a sudden great idea, we call it a brainwave. I had a sudden brainwave in the shower, and if you are thinking very hard about something, you are racking your brains. I have been racking my brains trying to remember the password. Let us talk about risk-taking. If you put everything you have into a project, you are going all in. It is a poker term. I decided to go all in on my business. If you are taking a wild guess without any information, it is a shot in the dark. I didn't know the answer, so it was just a shot in the dark. And if you are relying on something that is not certain, you are banking on it. I am banking on the weather being good for the picnic. As we approach the end of this section, let us reconsider the importance of listening. Active listening involves making sounds that show you are engaged. Sounds like right, I see, and wow are crucial. They are the heartbeat of a conversation. If you sit in total silence, the speaker feels alone. Practice these small interjections. When you listen to a podcast, try to nod and say right or exactly out loud. It trains your mouth to be active even when you are not the main speaker. We have now added health, travel, argument, memory, and so much more to your repertoire. You are building a massive vocabulary. Do not feel overwhelmed. Think of your English like a garden. You plant these seeds, these phrases, and you water them by listening and practicing. Some will grow fast, some will take time. That is okay. The important thing is that you keep showing up to the garden. I want to begin this final session in the boardroom, or rather, the world of work and negotiation. Even if you do not work in business, these phrases are used in everyday life when you need to make a deal or solve a problem. Imagine you are buying a car or negotiating your rent. You want to reach an agreement. We call this reaching common ground. We need to find common ground before we can sign the contract. If the other person is being very tough and refusing to change their price, we say they drive a hard bargain. I respect him because he drives a hard bargain. If you are willing to compromise, you can say, let's meet halfway. This means I will give a little and you will give a little. I wanted $10, you offered $5. So let's meet halfway at $7.50. This is the language of cooperation. Sometimes in a discussion, people talk too much about unimportant details. You just want the main point. You can say, let's cut to the chase. It comes from old movies where the audience just wanted to skip the talking and get to the chase scene. Let's cut to the chase. How much does it cost? Another great phrase for starting a meeting is, let's get down to business. It signals the end of small talk and the start of work. And if you need to contact someone briefly just to update them, you say, I need to touch base with you. I'll touch base with you next week to see how the project is going. Now let us talk about resolving conflict. In any relationship, arguments happen. When you and your friend finally agree on something after a disagreement, we say you see eye to eye. Luckily, my boss and I see eye to eye on most things. If you've had a fight in the past but you want to forgive and forget, you can say, that is water under the bridge. It means the water has flowed away. It is in the past and it doesn't matter anymore. We argued yesterday, but it is water under the bridge now. And if you want to make peace with an enemy, we use the idiom, bury the hatchet. It comes from Native American traditions of burying weapons to signify peace. Let's bury the hatchet and be friends again. Let us shift gears to emergencies and urgent situations. We hope they do not happen, but we must be ready. If you arrive somewhere just before it is too late, we say you made it in the nick of time. The train was leaving at 5, and I arrived at 4:59. I made it in the nick of time. If you are in a dangerous situation, the most important advice is to keep your cool. This means to stay calm. Panic helps no one, so you must keep your cool. If you are unsure whether to take a precaution, like bringing an umbrella or buying travel insurance, we use the famous phrase, better safe than sorry. It means it is better to be careful now than to regret it later. I don't think it will rain, but I'll bring a coat. Better safe than sorry. I want to tell you a story now. I want you to just listen and try to catch the idioms we have learned throughout this whole course. Meet Tom. Tom was feeling a bit under the weather on Monday morning. He had butterflies in his stomach because he had a big job interview. He woke up late because his alarm didn't go off, so he had to hit the ground running. He rushed to the station, but he missed the train. He thought, just my luck. However, he decided to keep his cool. He called the company and said, "Please accept my apologies. I got held up." They were very understanding. He eventually arrived, and to make a long story short, he hit it off with the manager. They talked about everything from football to finance. Tom felt like he was on the ball. At the end of the interview, the manager said, "You are just what we are looking for." Tom walked out of the building feeling over the moon. He called his mom and said, "Mom, I think I nailed it." The lesson here is that even when things go wrong, if you keep your cool, it can turn out to be a blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise is a bad thing that turns out to be good. Missing the train made Tom relax, which helped him win the job. Let us break down a few more phrases from that story. To hit the ground running means to start a new activity with great energy and speed. When you start your new job, you want to hit the ground running. To nail it means to do something perfectly. You nailed that presentation. And we already know over the moon and under the weather. Notice how weaving these phrases together makes the story sound like a native speaker is telling it. It flows, it has color. Now, I want to explore the language of hope and the future. As you learn English, you are opening doors to new opportunities. We have a beautiful phrase, "The world is your oyster." It means you can do anything or go anywhere. The world is open to you. Now that you have your degree, the world is your oyster. If you are optimistic, you always look on the bright side. Even when it rains, you say, "At least the flowers are getting water." You are looking on the bright side. If you have a list of things you want to do before you die, like skydiving or visiting Japan, we call that a bucket list. Visiting the Grand Canyon is on my bucket list. However, sometimes we have false hope. If you are chasing a dream that is impossible, we say you are chasing rainbows. It is a poetic image, but it means you are wasting your time on a fantasy. He thinks he will become a movie star overnight, but he is just chasing rainbows. And if you are very happy and maybe dreaming a little too much, unaware of the problems around you, we say you have your head in the clouds. Come down to earth, you have your head in the clouds. Let us talk about change. We are all changing, hopefully for the better. If you decide to change your behavior and become a better person, we say you are turning over a new leaf. I used to be lazy, but this year, I am turning over a new leaf. If you start a new project from the very beginning because the first one failed, we start from scratch. We lost all our data, so we have to start from scratch. It sounds painful, but sometimes it is necessary. And if you are learning the basics of a new job or skill, we say you are learning the ropes. Be patient with him. He is new and still learning the ropes. I want to give you a set of phrasal verbs using the word look. These are essential. If you admire someone, you look up to them. I look up to my father. If you think you are better than someone, you look down on them. Never look down on people who have less than you. If you are taking care of someone, you look after them. Can you look after my dog this weekend? And if you are investigating a problem, you look into it. The computer is broken, but the technician is looking into it. Finally, if you are excited about the future, you look forward to it. I look forward to meeting you. Remember, after look forward to, we use the verb with ing. I look forward to seeing you, not I look forward to see you. This is a very common mistake, so be careful. Let us discuss the concept of secrets and knowledge again. If something is very obvious but nobody wants to talk about it, we call it the elephant in the room. Imagine a giant elephant standing in your living room and everyone ignoring it. That is awkward. At the family dinner, Uncle Bob's new haircut was the elephant in the room. Nobody mentioned it. If you know something is going to happen because you have inside information, we say you are in the loop. Please keep me in the loop regarding the project. If you do not know, you are out of the loop. I have been on vacation for 2 weeks, so I am completely out of the loop. We are coming to the end of our time together. I want to give you some final advice on how to use this script and these lessons. Do not try to memorize 100 phrases in one day. That is the quickest way to burn out. Instead, pick one theme. Maybe today is food day. Use phrases like, I could eat a horse, or it is a piece of cake. Tomorrow, make it work day. Use get down to business and call it a day. Context is king. Words alone are hard to remember, but situations are easy to remember. Also, talk to yourself. I know it sounds crazy, but narrating your life is the best practice. When you are making coffee, say, I am making coffee. When you drop the spoon, say, oops, butterfingers. That means you drop things easily. When you finish, say, that hit the spot. That means it was exactly what you needed. By bringing English into your physical reality, you make it part of you. I want to leave you with one final idiom. Rome wasn't built in a day. Great things take time. Your fluency is a great thing. It is a magnificent city you are building in your mind. Some days you lay a brick, some days you build a wall, and some days it rains and you do nothing. That is all part of the process. Do not get discouraged by the distance. Be proud of the steps. You have listened to over 10,000 words of English content in this series. That is a massive achievement. You have exposed your brain to the rhythm, the flow, and the music of the language. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this journey. My name is Jessica, and this has been English in Advance. If you have enjoyed this long-form series, please let me know. Share it with a friend who is also learning. Challenge them to use these idioms. Creating this content for you is my passion, and seeing you improve is my reward. So for the final time, head out there. Face the world with confidence. Keep your cool, and remember that the sky is the limit. You have got this. Until we meet again, take care, keep practicing, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Goodbye.